And now it's time for a Star Trek story.
Aaron, we've been talking a lot about Star Trek on this show, believe
Have
it or
we?
not.
A bit.
Spoiler alert. And we've kind of talked a little bit about this. I don't think we've directly addressed it yet. But, you know, before we get too much further into Star Trek, perhaps we should talk about it a little bit. And so my question is, what exactly is the Star Trek ethos?
The ethos.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this today. Exploration is in the ethos. That's a word that should be in the ethos somewhere. That's a huge part of Star Trek. Exploring the galaxy as well as human struggles with themselves to better themselves, human struggles with other beings and their relationships. So yeah, exploration would be...
You know, that might be it. Thanks for listening, everyone. Good night. Exploration. So, yes, welcome to Star Trek Stories, everyone. Episode 16, Where No One Has Gone Before. As always, I am your illustrious host, Jaron Hatch, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Aaron Cole. Hello, Aaron.
Hi, Jaron. How are you? You got a new adjective. I'm still lovely.
Illustrious and lovely.
Yeah.
I feel like that's pretty good.
Illustrious.
Yeah, if two words you could live up to and have it as a descriptor. I can't imagine two better words. So we are continuing on with our look at the growing pains of the next generation. So far, it's been it's been a fun little ride. Last time we watched The Last Outpost, which is the episode that introduced the big bads of Star Trek The Next Generation, the Ferengi.
Well, they tried.
They tried anyway.
They certainly tried to make them the big bads.
To make them the big bads. We will be getting back to the Ferengi later in our big 100 episode list. They will not be showing back up again in our little chunk of episodes right now. For today, though, we do have a returning guest. Back on the show is our good friend, Scott Tuckfield. Hello, Scott.
Hello. It's so good to be back. Always a pleasure hanging out with you fellas.
Yeah, I'm so happy you're back with us. Last time we watched the Enterprise incident when you were here.
It was quite an incident.
Our fun little campy slice of TOS, but we get in. I know your big show is Next Generation, so I'm glad we're bringing you on for
I'm a TNG guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just how it is.
Who isn't really?
I mean, I shudder to think.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to know.
You know, Scott, I think one of the reasons why we both enjoy Star Trek The Next Generation in particular, and Star Trek broadly speaking, and also why we are good friends is I feel like, and you too, Aaron, all of us, I feel like we all love to wax philosophical.
Yeah.
How many of our hangouts back in the day in college were just basically would devolve into sitting around high, pontificating on the big questions of life, universe, and everything.
80% like, if not all of them, then most of them.
The vast majority.
It's just where we wanted to go.
I mean, sometimes we would be like, okay, we're playing Metroid Prime. And even then, it would suddenly, Metroid Prime was off. And we were just talking about, what is anything?
What is it really? What is this nonsense? It's all about, man.
And, you know, you're an artist, Scott. Do you feel like that really comes into your work a lot as an artist? I know artists always are speaking to something personal to them. How much of that do you think kind of bleeds into your own work?
Oh, it's an enormous amount. It totally bleeds into everything.
Yeah.
I would say that the only real sane way to be an artist is for it to be kind of an act of searching for meaning or creating meaning, and that questioning, because otherwise it's just not a very rational thing to do with your life. unless it's feeding something in your soul like that. So yeah, it's constant. I would say it's one of the core principles of my personality and my life.
Yeah.
Is that interest and that curiosity about the bigger questions.
Yep. I don't know if any of you at home have seen Scott's work. Is there a place where people at home can find your work?
Go to scotttuckfield.com or look up Scott Tuckfield on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Probably your best bets.
Definitely check it out. There's going to be some fun stuff to tickle your brain. And, a lot of artists, I feel like there's a lot of different, like when it comes to meaning, that meaning is also such a huge, that can be applied to so many things. Some artists will speak to more of this kind of emotional thing. Some will speak to more of a political kind of meaning. When I look at your stuff, and not exclusively, but when I look at your stuff, I get this general sense of the word that comes to my head is cosmic.
Yeah.
Again, not everything you do. This is just a general vibe I get. Does that in your head? Is that it? Is that close?
I think one of the core guiding principles of my work as an artist is the idea that we are one with the universe, the whole vast cosmos, that we are expressions of the universe, we are the universe experiencing itself. And that idea, encompasses all of life and all of history and all of the potential futures that we have. So there's, it's the broadest umbrella that you could possibly imagine. So, but it is a particular like flavor. There's a very, like you say, cosmic. Another word that gets tossed around is visionary. I would probably be called a visionary artist like Alex Gray or Android Jones or some of these other artists.
What does that specifically refer to in terms of art terms?
It's kind of become vague, but what I associate visionary art with is psychedelic patterns and colors and visuals, and also a sense of there's some other dimension that's being revealed, as if the artist had some sort of vision and is trying to communicate it after the fact through the art medium.
Yeah.
And so it can be, extremely weird and trippy visions of strange entities from the DMT realms or whatever, or it can, like some of my own stuff is still pretty psychedelic and has a visionary quality to it, but it's also just a landscape, but there's a slight patterning in the sky, or the colors are a bit exaggerated or something like that.
Yeah, I think you would agree, Aaron. We've had many drug-induced trips together over the years.
One or two,
yeah. Or 12,000.
I've got one or two Scott Tuckfield prints too. They're awesome. You got to check them out.
Yeah, as someone who has had a bunch of mushroom trips, had a bunch of LSD trips, or as we say in the Star Trek world, LDS trips.
LDS trips. Every Sunday to the church.
Did a little too much LDS back in the 60s.
Take a couple tabs of LDS.
Haven't done DMT yet, or ayahuasca.
No, I'm kind of scared about it.
That's the hardcore stuff. Have you done that, Scott?
I've had some interesting explorations into DMT just in the past 2 months.
For the first time?
I had tried it a couple of times before then, but without any guidance, and I didn't have like an extremely profound experience. But these recent ones have been very interesting. DMT and all of these other psychedelic experiences are really interesting, and I think extremely relevant to this episode we're about to watch, in that it kind of punches a hole through this illusion of solidity that this physical dimension gives us. You realize there's actually a lot more going on all around us all the time, and what we think of as the final reality is not at all that. It's more something a little more illusory. Yeah, it's cool.
Well, and you brought up this episode of Star Trek, Scott, which we'll get into a second. So, opening up the question from earlier to you now, and shifting into Star Trek, from your point of view, what exactly is the Star Trek ethos?
I would say some words that come to mind are diplomacy and communication. I feel like that's kind of at the center of almost every episode. It's trying to figure out how to communicate between people who don't, or between beings who don't understand each other fully. And what would maybe a persistent and devoted respect for life, which I think is more present in The Next Generation than in the original series by far. You know, the prime directive, one of the core principles is how can we treat all of these new races and species with dignity and still get, solve the problems with the collapsing stars and the Borg and all of that. Yeah, and I just love that, say, Captain Picard is, he's not the captain of a battleship, even though he
it could
is. The Enterprise is certainly powerful enough, but he is first and foremost an explorer and a diplomat. And those are the roles he takes most seriously, and he'll only use force as a very last resort. And I think that speaks a lot to the ethos of at least The Next Generation.
Yeah. Well, let's see how this early TNG episode may or may not help elucidate what the Star Trek ethos might be. Yes, we are watching the episode Where No One Has Gone Before. This aired October 26th, 1987. This is the 6th episode produced for the first season, so we are still fairly early on. This is the second episode to use an abbreviated version of essentially Star Trek's motto, which the best I can come up with is to boldly go where no one has gone before.
Right.
And this kind of just distills it to the where no one has gone before kind of a thing. And earlier, Aaron, in our first set of episodes, when we were looking at classic Trek, we watched Where No Man Has Gone Before. The other episode that uses the motto.
Probably culturally relevant that they updated the gender terms as they went along. That was probably a wise choice.
Yeah, 1960s. You still hear it nowadays, but like mankind, the brotherhood of man, very masculine terms to describe all of humanity. Unfortunately, as time has gone on, even in the 80s, we've kind of actually that doesn't really speak to all of humanity. Just the men.
It sounds dated now. It's that's a little embarrassing. We can't say that anymore.
You're right.
But obviously, they've been on the progressive side of things from the get-go, and it's interesting that if they did make a choice to ungenderify the noun there, that they did it in 87, did you say? Like, that's not bad. We're still catching up to that.
Could be worse.
Could be worse.
Trying to get new viewers, not siphon them off and segregate them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good goal.
Yeah, we can also think while we're watching it, this episode, like how does this potential, where does the idea of where no one has gone before, which could even also be a potential answer to what is the Star Trek ethos. How does that phrase potentially speak to the ethos, like literally or figuratively?
Well, that's like the essence of exploration, isn't it? Is that need to go where you don't know what's going on, you don't know what's already there waiting for you, where no one has gone before. That need doesn't always rationally make any sense, but it's something deep and primal and fundamental to the human condition, I think.
Yep. All right, well, for all of you at home, this is your invitation to watch. Star Trek The Next Generation is streaming on Paramount+. You can find it by bringing up Season 1, Episode 5, and we will be back after we go where no one has gone before.
don't know if I can put this in terms you'll understand.
I believe that there may be a warp speed that can get us beyond Galaxy M33. But there is no velocity of any magnitude that can possibly bring us wherever this is. Is it true what our navigational sensors are telling us? Are we millions of light years away from where we were?
Yes.
But what got us here?
Thought.
Thought.
You do understand, don't you, that thought is the basis of all reality. The energy of thought, to put it in your terms, is very powerful.
That's not an explanation.
I have the ability to act like a lens which focuses thought.
That's just so much nonsense. You're asking us to believe in magic.
Oh, yes, this could seem like magic to you.
No. No. That actually makes sense to me. Only the power of thought could explain what has been happening, especially out here.
Thought is the essence of where you are now. You do understand the danger, don't you?
Chaos. What we think is what happens.
It pains me I was so careless, Captain. My intent was only to observe, not to cause this. You should not be here until your far, far distant future. Certainly not until you've learned control.
Well, speaking of in-game mini-games,
Star Trek?
Star Trek.
Wow.
Speaking of,
I got whiplash from that one.
speaking of Gwent, yeah, we just got done watching When No One Has Gone Before. As always, we start with initial thoughts. Scott, initial thoughts coming off of this episode.
I love this episode. This is one of my very favorite Star Trek episodes. You've got that early TNG camp where they still hadn't quite shaken off the silly campiness of it all. You've got kind of the very dated computer graphics that honestly like totally work for me. When I watched the episode just now, I'm like, this is perfect. Like, I don't know if I could replace it with today's capabilities with computers and stuff, like, you wouldn't even want to. It just all comes together of a piece. It's like the perfect little capsule of this time. I love how philosophical it is. I love that it really thinks outside of the box as far as storytelling and sci-fi writing goes. You know, it's not just about finding another planet and another alien. They really take it to another level with this one. And it's also fun to see kind of the more surface level arc of, you know, our arrogant, what was his name? Kaczynski. Yeah, like, what a punchable face that guy has. Oh, I just want to just right in the kisser. But no, it's fun to see, like, that silly drama unfold, to see gets immediately humiliated at the it's just a fun episode. It works on so many levels.
I agree. The first season is usually considered to be pretty weak, but there are some gems to be found, and I would most certainly say this was you can't miss this one.
You can't miss this one. This is a must. This is a essential TNG selection, I would say. Totally essential.
I would agree. Aaron, initial thoughts coming off of this?
Space sweaters.
Space sweaters. No one is taking Wesley seriously because he's wearing that fancy sweater.
It's the salmon. It's throwing me off.
Like, what God's name is that thing, Wesley?
I call this orange creamsicle.
And the Traveler, too, with his gray
Frills aplenty.
Yeah, that outfit the Traveler's wearing, I've seen this episode a million times, but toward the end there, I was kind of paying more attention to, the fabric and, the texture of what he's wearing. I'm like, that's kind of an out there little outfit he's wearing.
Pretty good-looking sweater that Traveler's got on.
Yeah.
Space sweaters from the future.
Interdimensional thought sweater.
Interdimensional thought sweaters was the first working title they presented to Gene, and he's like, you gotta come up with something better than that.
That was my eureka moment. Interdimensional thought sweaters.
Wow.
And I saw the whole episode in an instant.
And put frills all up and down. That's those sweaters. Frills and folds.
Yeah, I really like this one. We talked about earlier, Aaron, that there was some at this point in the show. There's some of the, for as much as they're trying to differentiate themselves, it's still got some of that '60s camp kitsch. They haven't quite gotten away from it yet. You can argue Star Trek never quite ever fully gets away from it, but
Nor should it.
And nor should it. Yeah, perhaps
a little more so than where we are now. And it's got some of that written all over it, at this point. But I still think it's just such a fun idea. And, for me personally, the best stories, this is a very personal, subjective thing, but my favorite stories spark the imagination. Maybe not always the most incredibly thought out, this isn't To Kill a Mockingbird.
no.
But just in terms of sparking an imagination, and just every time I walk away from this one, I just like to go think about stuff, whatever it is. And I love that. And this episode just has that. And Star Trek every once in a while just has that in spades.
Yeah, it's just you can't help but feel inspired and wonder.
Yeah.
And wonder at the universe around you, being like, wow, there's more. There's more there. Thanks, Star Trek.
Yeah.
Like that.
Like that.
Like that.
So, like I was saying, the first season is generally regarded to be pretty weak. And we all really like this one. And we've seen a few so far, Aaron. What is it about this one that works, still works, is still fun?
Exploration.
There it is.
There it is. they really go there. Yeah. It gets your mind potentially into new places. Mm-hmm. I love that they never really explained anything that they were seeing or witnessing. They just showed people being really curious and wanting to go explore it. You know what I mean? I think that really helped drive the episode. Data saying there's a protostar right over there we could check out, and Picard and Riker talking about how tempting it is to as long as we're here, we could look around.
That's even before they get to Thought Universe.
Mm-hmm.
That's just other regular galaxy.
Before they try to get out of there the first time.
Scott, why do you think this one, is it just because the concept is just so good?
I think that's probably the center of it, is that it has such an imaginative and well executed concept. I keep thinking in reference to what we were talking about before we watched, that this episode could be described as consciousness expanding. It takes your conception of what is possible in the Star Trek universe and in the actual universe in terms of space and time and thought, and it kind of pushes it to a new level. And I feel like that's had to have had a really interesting impact on all of the people that have watched the episode over the many years that it's existed.
Yep.
It probably has, had a significant effect.
Yep. It's interesting looking at this now, and we've come a little further in some kind of understanding of quantum mechanics, but any quantum physicist will tell you it's like, if you think you understand quantum physics, then you don't understand quantum physics. Like, even the best of them don't. Like,
it's bonkers. It doesn't make any sense at all.
No, but it's all just based on inference and based on like what we're seeing. This is what we can describe. We have no idea why this is the case and why this could even work. That's very layman, of course. Quantum physicists will be like,
"What are you?"
But
as an expert in quantum physics, I can say with 100% certainty
we have no idea
that no one knows anything.
But in recent years, we have observed this phenomenon of an observer, which would imply some kind of consciousness, as far as we can understand the word observer, that like quantum states essentially like appear as such or take the state as such, due in part to the observer observing it. There is no understanding of what this means, why this is the case. I don't think any scientist would say like, no, your thought is like literally creating the universe. I mean, who knows? But like, we can't speak to what this potentially means. But we just have observed this.
Yeah, from like an empirical, physical perspective, we can't make this call at all. But question mark.
But we have observed this.
Like, there's something going on.
It sounds like a computer bringing up an asset, the way you described it just now. This is just my out here thinky thoughts. But like, you turn around in a video game and you see like a tree, and then the tree loads up and it's there. But then when you turn you turn the camera away, the tree goes away.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it's that age-old philosophical question, like, if a tree falls in a forest and there's no one around to hear it, does it make a sound? Kind of a thing.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know, it's just thrilling to think about when the barrier between basically yourself or the being in question and the environment or the universe at large, when that barrier dissolves and the realms of like, oh, my thoughts are actually spilling into the surrounding space, and that has an energy that is real and has an effect on the surrounding space and my environment. The possibilities from making that leap into that, to accepting that might be possible, at least, the possibilities are astounding. Like, anything becomes possible at that point.
Which is kind of essentially the situation they find themselves in, where like literally anything becomes possible.
Yeah, it's the only way that the events of the episode could possibly be explained is by punching through into this new level of awareness of what thought and consciousness and reality and space and time actually are. Mm-hmm. That the traveler is some being who's like some extra dimensional ascended being who can phase in and out of physicality, understands this thing in this whole other way, and it's pretty adorable when he's in his sick bed trying to explain it to Picard and to the humans. He's like so likable. I think it's a really great performance by this guy.
I guess you could call it magic.
It's like, oh, you guys are so cute, and like
we're little gerbils or something.
Yeah,
he's like, oh, you guys.
And we are like, we totally would be to him, but he's not. There's no mockery in it. He like totally loves everybody. I think that's one of the most important things. He's like, yeah, as the way you see it, it would be a long time. Or the way you see it, it's a different time. But you can tell he's like, no, that's not actually like the right question to ask. that the nature of the whole thing is different than we assume, and it's just so interesting. There's of course it has to be a TV episode, so there's a whole bunch of limitations that are going to be there on the idea to begin with. If you go, like, if you were trying to make this today as some ultra realistic, gritty sci-fi drama, trying to really explore what the situation would actually be like, it wouldn't be like this. It would probably, you'd have to question, like, would the physicality of their ship even have any continuity? Like, why doesn't it all just dissolve into psychedelic madness, which it probably would in that point. But you can't have that. Like, then the show is over.
Yeah.
And so it's fun to see how they have to rein it in. Like, the manifestations of the thoughts, are just here and there, and they can be kind of easily controlled. You might argue that if they were actually thrown into this place, that it would just be an immediate explosion of chaos, that there wouldn't be any time at all to deal with it.
Yep. I guess actually in the original draft, it was much more out there and like cosmic and just some of the things. Like, it basically, by the end, like the Enterprise was in like this like cosmic egg of like thought and ends up birthing a universe, kind of and
that's more like it.
The illusions and everything just really go much further than what you get here.
Interesting.
But it's like, we can't.
Yeah, it's like,
we
you got to
can't do
rein that
this,
in,
guys.
writer's room.
Yeah,
bring
maybe-
that in. We can't make that.
I don't know what that is, son, but that's Satan.
Yeah, we were just saying as you stepped out of the room how you could really make this on a whole other level if it was an animated show.
Sure.
Yeah, like you could see all the characters melt away into seething mandalas of eyeballs and flowers and rainbow crystalline hallways, and it'd be great.
Oh yeah.
But then you're like, when you don't know who's talking and you don't know what's going on anymore. It's all just swirling colors on the screen.
there's a story I'm supposed to follow.
Yeah, you can't let it break down too much.
Yeah.
No, it's there, man. It's just got layers. So many layers.
But no, like for me, the what makes this one really exciting for me is this core, the heart of this episode, are in a few different lines that Wesley says. One of them, which is like, that space and time and thought are not the separate things that they appear to be. And the Traveler's like, whoa, don't, like, you're not ready for that yet.
That dangerous nonsense.
That dangerous nonsense. That's classic. That's fantastic. That, because it makes it just takes it to this deeper level. I can't help but think of when I see this episode, I can't help but think about a book I read many years ago called Autobiography of a Yogi, by Paramahansa Yogananda. Mm-hmm. And it's what it sounds like. It's a detailed autobiography from this super mystic yogi in India as he grows up and becomes like a spiritual guy, spiritual master under these different teachers. And it has a bunch of different accounts of some pretty crazy stuff, some miracles that these yogis were able to perform. What would this have been, like in the 1800s, early 1900s? There's pictures of this Yogananda guy, so it wasn't like that long ago. But he tells of these yogis who could like appear in two places at once, where I don't know if they sent their astral bodies and could like manifest in the distance, talk to somebody, and then like go back to their normal. There were yogis who could just like create perfumes and scents that just by their spiritual will, I guess. And he, like, the ideas that the yogis were talking about in this book and the ideas brought up in this episode, I think are very connected, where like your mind, if you're sufficiently like connected or aware of your mind's relationship to space and time, and of like the actual power that your thought could potentially have, maybe, or if you have developed more power than that, than we're used to having, that something like teleportation or traveling to a distant galaxy in a blink of an eye becomes, there are no limits in that realm. There are no limits of light speed and physics. It's real fascinating. I can't help but think that there's a common core between here and these yogis whose whole thing was plugging into consciousness and thought, the power of thought, and so forth.
Yep. One of the things I like about how they handle in this episode is, and going into like thought and like, and because in this episode we get like people's thoughts manifesting into reality. And what I like what they do on a narrative sense is that they don't try to explain this too much. It's left a lot to your interpretation of what this, and they frame it in that, of course, that like the Traveler, it's beyond your beyond your comprehension, and also the simple fact that like we don't have any answers that can speak to something like this, like in a physical scientific sense. So it's like it leaves a lot for you to interpret what this means.
Maybe that's part of the ethos is Star Trek is something that forces you to think about things that you've never thought about before. Yeah.
So like, it's like that exploration on another level where it's like the show is about them exploring space, but then of course they're exploring humanity. But then as a viewer, not taking like another step back, it's like, but it makes you as a viewer explore what all this means for yourself and those around you. Yeah. I guess just speaking to the episode specifically, we should real quick talk about Wesley Crusher.
Wesley, probably the MVP of the episode, other than the Traveler himself, of course. Wesley was the one who was on top of it right away. He had a fantastic sweater. There's frills and folds aplenty.
They really set him up as the savant, the child prodigy character.
Yeah, the Mozart.
Yeah.
The onboard Mozart. The crazy thing is that so far, he's gotten more character development than anyone on the show up to this point. Wesley Crusher.
Really trying to sell it to kids.
Oh, yeah. Gets made an acting ensign in this episode. You know, maybe my one criticism is, but I sometimes take some exception with this idea of, because, we're talking about this idea of like, especially in this episode, consciousness expanding and, this gets into some political stuff, but I also have a very kind of like leftist communitarian bent, and that I feel like any kind of exploration of this stuff, while it does happen on an individual level, it probably should speak to some larger human community thing. So sometimes when we get these stories about the special one, the chosen one, I don't know if Wesley quite's getting the chosen one. I don't know. Sometimes I get a little like, to me, that kind of, I don't know, it's not a defeater for the episode, and I get what they're trying to be into it. Like, and there are clearly exceptional people throughout human history. But when they're doing this idea about consciousness expanding and connecting to this thing, but then saying how like, but this one kid, like he's the really special one, and he's the one who can really, again, there are exceptional people.
Kind of knocks everyone else, all the other characters down a peg.
Again, there are exceptional people. But of course, I can't help but wonder if we live in a society that didn't have poverty, didn't have this, where everyone was able to be their fullest flower, I couldn't help but wonder how many more special, exceptional ones, there would be out there. You know what I mean?
Here, yeah.
Is it just one of those raising scale things where, like, as the bar of humanity raises, the more exceptional the exceptional people become?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Could be. Because, like, if you're exceptional on the Enterprise, you're like the superest of the super geniuses.
Yeah, the best of the best of the best.
Yeah. So
When do we top out?
Right. And, there are people who have worked their whole lives to be where they are in the Enterprise, and just to have this character who's just like naturally gifted at all of it. I again, like, not to say this person couldn't exist or anything. It's just a little frustrating just to have that, like, one special like, for me, what's interesting in storytelling specifically is to see people grow into those things, and just to have someone who's already there at 14, it's not very interesting or engaging. It's just they're just telling you this person's special. Okay, I can
understand that point for sure.
He didn't have to work toward the higher understanding. He just from the first seconds of the episode already is there. Well, maybe if you do this, it's better.
But it is interesting, like, wouldn't you say, like, Mozart was kind of like that? Like, he was at that level at, 5 years old?
Yeah,
he didn't have to
like
work for
bro.
20 years at university for it.
But we also have to remember that Mozart's dad was himself a composer and was on his kid from birth to be a great composer. Like, there are still...
That makes a big difference.
Like, if Mozart's dad wasn't there and he didn't have the childhood and, like, wealth that came with where his dad was, there wouldn't be Mozart.
Which is an interesting point about how the phenomenon that is Mozart, that is the composer and his life and all of his works, is actually, like... You can't ever draw a line of where that phenomenon ends, because it reaches back to his dad, and then that reaches back to all of the previous generations and all of the various environmental factors that went into creating this one perfect arrangement of environment, training, and aptitude to create Mozart.
You're saying Mozart was a Nepo baby?
I mean, kind of. I mean, like, look, like they had the funding of the church, and that's where Mozart got into. I mean, like
it's not as simple as he was just like Zap. He alone was just chosen by God, and he's not the star child from 2001. Yeah, it was the result of a lot more motion behind the scenes than that model leads us to believe.
Mm. Right, no doubt he had natural aptitude, no doubt. But again, think about who his dad is, like,
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into it, and so again, like, I just can't help but wonder. It's especially in a post-scarcity society like we see in Star Trek. We would and once actually Wesley leaves, then they really get to show just how special all of the characters are, not just Wesley. That's more interesting to me.
I agree. You see, like, Geordi is just a super genius in his way, but he has these shortcomings in these other areas, and then and then everyone is a super genius in these different ways, and we get to watch them interact with their human flaws.
Yeah,
I agree. I think that's a stronger way to approach it.
Probably just a couple little behind the scenes things real quick. I guess this episode is loosely based on the TOS novel The Wounded Sky, which was written by Diane Duane, who actually was the co-writer of this episode. So she got to turn to some degree one of her stories into it.
Diane.
Get that money.
Even though I believe it was heavily rewritten, and I guess in the original draft there was no Traveler character. It was just Kaczynski who just somehow made this happen. And it had a whole different kind of tack where, like, I think Kaczynski's son was aboard, but Kaczynski was ignoring his family because of his theories, and very different very different approach. And I think we talked about briefly, either in the episode or while we're talking, like, it got much more cosmic again. Like, they end up creating, like getting in a cosmic egg and birthing a universe, and this whole process ends up taking 6 days, and on the 7th day Picard orders them to shore leave.
Oh my god, that's a little on the nose.
Little on the nose.
All has happened before. All will happen again.
Yeah, that's out there. They've had to rein that in.
Probably the most interesting little bit of tidbit for this episode, Eric Menyuk, who plays the Traveler, who I think does a wonderful job.
Yeah, well done.
He really
Eric.
channels that. Eric Menyuk.
Well done, Eric.
He was a finalist for the role of Commander Data when they were casting the show, and he didn't quite get it. Brent Spiner gets the role of Data, so as like a kind of consolation prize, he gets to play the Traveler. And so he almost ended up playing Data, though.
He could be a good Data. I could see that working. I mean, you can't beat Brent.
It's hard to imagine anyone besides Brent Spiner playing Data. He's so iconic.
Yeah. But I'm glad he got to play. So that's a juicy role.
Oh yeah.
For a guy who didn't get the part he was going for, that's still a pretty juicy role.
It's a great lesson for any auditioning actors out there. You just never know what they're looking at you for.
Never know. Always do your best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Any final thoughts for where no one has come before?
I want to go and meditate myself into another dimension. Like that. I just want to zap myself through a star-filled hallway of galaxies and just kind of zoom around for a while.
I want to use the power of my thoughts to manifest some mushrooms.
Yeah.
Damn, it's been a long time.
Anyone got mushrooms? You know anyone who can get mushrooms?
So please send us your Star Trek stories and mushroom hookups.
To storiedstartrek@gmail.com.
Please do not send us your mushroom hookups.
Oh my goodness. I think we kept you a little late, Scott, but thank you so much for going down the rabbit hole. This is exactly what this episode calls for, I feel like.
This was fun. This was just a delight to dive into the deep end and wax philosophical with you guys.
Philosophic.
Wax philosophic or philosophical?
Physiological.
Physiological.
We're getting further away.
It was nice talking to you guys.
Yeah, you too, man.
It was nice talking to you, Scott. We will definitely have you back for more Star Trek The Next
I would
Generation.
love that.
Yeah. As we go further and further down our little journey. Well, next time, our journey through the growing pains of the Next Generation continues with Hyde and Q. This is our first returning appearance of Q, who we met in the premiere, who is basically like the inverse of the Traveler. A different cosmic being, but has a very different agenda.
Yeah, different styles, different flavors to those guys.
Do they ever meet in the show, the Traveler and Q?
No,
Never get together.
So that'd be an epic showdown. I mean, I don't think the Traveler would put up a fight. I think he'd probably just be like, "Nah, I'm out."
The Q continuum seems to be at the top of the pecking order as far as we see
you
in
don't
Star
mess
Trek.
with the Q continuum. just do what they say. Keep your head down. You'll be fine.
Yeah, so next time we get to see what Q is up to, and also our good friend Jake Barnes will be back with us to talk about more Q stuff. This should be a fun time.
Yay. Love Jake.
We love you, Jake. Look forward to having you here. Scott, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Aaron, as always, thank you so much.
You're so welcome, bud.
You guys are all so amazing.
I love you guys.
We grok each other.
We grok.
We grok.
We do grok. Great book.
Stranger in a Strange Land by
Great book.
Yeah.
Heinlein.
What a read, everyone. Check
Another one about thoughts creating reality.
Yeah, go get yourself some drugs. Go get Stranger in a Strange Land by Robert Heinlein, and oh boy, have a good time.
Yeah. You're in for a wild ride.
Well, until then, we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening. If you'd like to share us your own Star Trek story, you can email us at storiedstartrek@gmail.com, or you can visit our Discord server. You can find us by clicking on the link in the show description.